The shooting board is a jig used in conjunction with a handplane to square up stock. The workpiece rests on the upper shelf against the backstop, while a handplane rides along the lower shelf. A sanding stick can also be used instead of the handplane. First, the upper shelf is attached to the lower shelf. Then, the backstop is attached to the upper shelf. And finally, a batten is attached to the underside of the jig so that the jig can be held steady against the workbench. I also add a toggle clamp for securing the workpiece to the upper shelf. Okay, now that we understand the basic steps, let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to build ourselves a shooting board. This here is a shooting board. It's a little bit of a extra long shooting board. That's because a lot of the things that we'll be working with, the sides, the neck, tend to be longer pieces. So it's a little helpful for an instrument maker to have a shooting board with that little extra length. In total, this is 36 inches in length. So let's take a look at the parts I already have cut up right here for this. Let's put this aside. It's the base platform. I cut this to the dimensions of 14.5 inches by 36 inches. And then this is going to go right over top. This is 10 inches by 36. This is our backstop, 2 by 10. And underneath, we're going to have a 2 by 14.5 inch batten screwed to the bottom. It helps you to secure the jig in place when you're using it. So we'll screw that to there, and then when we're using the jig and putting forward pressure on it with our handplane, it's not going to continue to push forward and slide on us. This batten on the bottom will help hold it in place. This is 3/4 inch plywood or particle board. You can use plywood, you can use MDF. MDF is always really great. I think it holds up really well to changes in humidity, things like that. Particle board works just fine as well though. It's cheap. So we're going to use that. Okay, so let's get started. The first step is to drill pilot holes for the screws. I am using 1 1/4 inch screws. About 2 inches from the edge on each side, I make marks for my screw locations and then drill. Each screw is about 6 inches apart. Let's just lightly clamp this in place. I'm going to put a clamp on one end, and for the other end, because I don't have a clamp that reaches back there, I'm just going to drop a weight on it. That's just to hold it in alignment while I drill these holes. Now I use a countersink bit so that the screws will sit below the surface of the jig. Apply wood glue and screw in place. So while that's curing, we can keep working on this. I do want to clean up any squeeze out that comes out along this edge though. Okay, next we want to screw down the backstop. That's our 2 by 10 piece. I'm going to be adding this nifty little toggle clamp to to my jig, but you don't have to. I got by for years without this thing, but now I really like having this on the jig so that you can clamp down whatever you're working with. It's nice to have, but not entirely necessary. So all I'm going to do now is I just want to mark this off where it's going to be on our 2x10 piece so that I don't put a screw right beneath it where these screws are supposed to go. Drill 4 pilot holes. Apply glue. And screw in place. Now I'm going to add the batten to the bottom. Here's our 2x14.5. And first, I'm going to measure, it's going to be 11 inches from the end opposite. Here, I'll put it over and show you. 11 inches up from this end. So it'll be somewhere right around here. So let's measure that out. Okay, so this is going to go right on that line right there. Now we can drill our pilot holes. Not too concerned with where these pilot holes are, just 2 on this side, 2 on that side.